Well, there's one other player,
The GOAT.
notably to wear number 40, and he's perhaps the greatest Viking to ever wear 40.
I don't think it's a question.
And he might be in some people's like top 10, if not even top 5 Vikings of all time.
I mean, stat sheet, absolutely not. But as far as heart and soul and making other people's jobs easier, who is it, Ev?
Jimmy Kleinsasser.
Jimmy freaking Kleinsasser. I just butchered his last name. Kleinsasser. Dude was a mountain of a man. He still is. He's still with us. Just a monster. If I was an NFL linebacker and a play started and I noticed it was a running play and I looked up and I saw Jimmy Kleinsasser running at me with those just crazy eyes, I'd probably just get out of the way. I wouldn't let Jimmy Kleinsasser try to
make
block
a business
me.
decision right there.
Absolutely. Dude just made a career out of blocking for decent Vikings running backs.
Yep.
He definitely helped the development of a young Adrian Peterson in paving the way. Although Kleinsasser, he was kind of that like classic H-back. He kind of played tight end, kind of played fullback. There were some other fullbacks for Adrian Peterson during that time frame. Tony Richardson, I think, is the name that's coming up. Mm-hmm. But Kleinsasser, he was a heart and soul guy. Probably wasn't too vocal, but I feel like if you were on the team and you were feeling down about a game or something and you saw Jimmy Kleinsasser just demolish multiple guys on the field, you get riled up. You just like, if he can do it, let's go.
It's kind of like the offensive version of Harrison Smith. Almost.
Yeah, probably.
Like, he just embodies what it means to be a Viking.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think you're right. The stat sheet wouldn't necessarily say that he's a top 10 player for the franchise.
I have his stats here, his career stats.
Yeah, let's get into those.
All right, so we'll kind of go back. He's a North Dakota native. We probably have some North Dakotans listening to us, hopefully right now. A lot of Vikings fans over there. He went to UND back when they were the Fighting Sioux, I believe. They've changed their name since then. Mm-hmm. I forget what it is. Second round pick. And I have it here, but could you have named the two guys drafted ahead of us? Or ahead of Jimmy Kleinsasser?
This was 99.
In 1999.
Right, so Culpepper.
Dante, yep.
His rookie card there.
And his signed jersey right here.
I can't name the other one without looking.
Yeah, it's because he completely quit on the team after one practice, Demetrius Underwood.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I don't even know his name.
One of the biggest flubs of a draft pick and football player in Vikings history. So those were the only two guys drafted ahead of him for the Vikings that year. Kleinsasser, second-round pick in 99, so right after the 98 perfection season almost. Played 13 years in the NFL, all with the Vikings. He was good enough. He probably could have had opportunities elsewhere, but I mean, if I think of Chad Greenway, if you can play your whole career with one team, it's almost worth taking a pay cut to keep playing with that one team as opposed to getting a little bit more elsewhere if the opportunity's there.
And Harrison Smith, I think, is continuing that legacy of Vikings players who just continue to come back and not leave for supposedly greener grass.
Yeah. So one thing that I thought was cool that I didn't really know until today when I was looking up Jimmy's stats, but he blocked for 7 of the top 8 single-season rushing marks in Vikings history. And that was at least at the time of when he retired, so that may be a little bit different now. I don't know if Dalvin had a better year above that top 8, but yeah, Kleinsasser was a big role in some of the top rushing seasons in Vikings history, including, at the time, Adrian Peterson's then Vikings record of 1,760 rushing yards in a season. I do have his stats. You want to read off some of his stats?
Yeah. So 1,688 receiving yards with 6 touchdowns, 147 rushing yards with 1 touchdown. That just seems so small.
I mean, people have had better rushing games than he had rushing, but he also wasn't a stat sheet guy.
Right. And then 4 kickoff returns for 36 yards.
Yeah, so that's when they would like squib kick and he'd be the one to pick it up.
Yep.
And if he didn't fall down, then he'd run a few yards and then get tackled or whatever. But I just thought the kickoff stats were pretty funny, so that's why I added him in there.
But so coming back to what I said, he's not the stat guy, but he is that franchise guy, that like ultimate team player. Mm-hmm. I'm here to make everyone else around me better. And I remember watching him as a kid because I was definitely kind of in my prime, like kid years, my kid era of Vikings fanhood from 99 to 2011.
Yeah, he definitely spanned our formative Vikings fans' years. Like his entire career went from us being kids, finally kind of waking up. Like that's when I was actually officially rooting for the Vikings, is right 99, 2000, 2001. You had been born into a Vikings fan family, so you obviously were a fan of the Vikings before then. But once you started waking up and like are figuring out, oh, this is how this works, and oh, the playoffs mean this, and like once you figure out the game, Jimmy was a rookie, and then he just was a consistently BA MF like the whole freaking time. He just bowled over people. Yes. Made everybody else's job easier.
He would be one, maybe not top 10 all time, but top 10 of the 2000s.
Yeah. I mean, the Vikings are not, they don't have the successes they do during his career in the same way if he's not on the team. His 1,600 receiving yards, yeah, those didn't win a ton of games specifically for the Vikings, but his blocking did, and his quiet leadership did.
That's a tough stat to quantify. You can't quantify like number of blocks laid down. And I mean, yes, we can kind of get to it. Like, yeah, he blocked for 7 of the top 8 single season rushing marks in Viking history. So yeah, there's some quantification to that, but it's not as simple as this is the number. Right? It's just not that simple. And that's why I think in a lot of ways, that's why the fullback position has kind of petered out a little bit. It's not a sexy position.
So I think the fullback position has kind of petered out as far as the media goes and as far as fantasy football goes. You're not drafting a fullback in fantasy football, right? Unless they're like a crazy one that also gets every goal line rushing attempt, and has 20 touchdowns a year. But that doesn't happen. I think if you talk to actual, there's a reason the fullback is still in the NFL. It's just as much as ESPN or whoever is going to say oh, that's out. It's a passing league. Who cares about the fullback? Then why are they still on the roster? Why is CJ Ham still going to have 2, 3 to 5 more years of his career, whether or not they're with the Vikings? And if it's not CJ Ham, the Vikings are still going to have a fullback, right? It's still a position that teams obviously value enough to take a roster spot. It's just like you said, it's not a sexy position. It's not one that gets 1,000 receiving yards a year. But your running back's not going to get 1,000 rushing yards if you don't have a good fullback. And if you don't have a good offensive line, it's all an extension of each other. So, yeah, he's not a big stat sheet guy, but he makes the other guys look good.
Side note, I would really like to see CJ Ham get more touches in those goal line situations. I think he shines in those moments. I don't have numbers in front of me to prove that, but I think he does.
I am surprised it didn't go that way more earlier in the year when it became, in this previous 23 season, when it became apparent that Madison was not an elite, just under Dalvin Cook kind of a great running back. I am surprised they didn't turn to him more. Granted, the running back room did have some options. I mean, Ty Chandler took a while to warm up. They traded for Cam Akers. They
got hurt.
Well, even before he got hurt, they seemed hesitant to make the switch. I don't know. I think they were a little timid on making the switch at the running back position, which, whatever. Hopefully that's not the case this year. But, yeah, I think maybe they did a disservice not turning to CJ Ham when they could have, because he is a bruiser. He's not quite Kleinsasser level, but he's almost there. He's up there.
Yeah, and I think too, maybe not even in just goal line situations, but other teams aren't necessarily going to expect that he'll get the ball all the time, and you can run those fullback dive plays and maybe be kind of productive just on the sheer surprise factor alone of, they actually gave the ball to the fullback. He wasn't just blocking. So, I don't know. I would love to see CJ Ham step up in a big way this year. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
For
Kleinsasser, though, man, he was a dude.
Yeah, he's one that, I don't know. You see those memes every once in a while where it's like, guys will just sit around for hours and just name random former NFL players. Kleinsasser is like the perfect example of that. Like, oh, remember Jimmy Kleinsasser? Like, he brings a smile to my face when I think about like how much fun I had watching him. And again, he wasn't a crazy stat sheet guy. Do you remember the movie 50 First Dates?
Yes, actually, oddly enough, we just watched that last night.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, last night.
So he's top of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, he makes not him acting wise, but his a highlight of him catching a touchdown.
Yes.
Makes an appearance in that movie.
The best part was the brother of.
Yeah, because they're.
He's like, I bet you Jimmy Kleinsasser catches it in the end zone. And then the play actually develops as he predicted it.
Yeah, because it was a taped.
Yeah, it was the
game.
rerun that they watch every night. And the dad throws the shoe at him or something afterwards, like, you idiot.
I should rewatch that scene. That's a funny movie.
It was a good movie. I didn't pick it. I was doing something else and I came upstairs and that's what my wife was watching.
Nice.
So
She's got good taste.
it's a good one. We've been kind of on an Adam Sandler kick lately.
Yeah?
So
Yeah. There's definitely some hits and misses with Adam Sandler. Some of them are pretty awesome, but some of them are pretty bad. But 50 First Dates, that's a good one.
that is a keeper.
Yeah.